Hello and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. I'm Tracy, also known as MercyTiara, and I make scrapbooking process videos and more here on my channel. Today, I'm using the Sweet Summer kit from MercyTiara Kits and the mini album add-on that goes along with that kit, and I'm going to create a mini album that captures my daughter's baking adventures over the years. And so I am starting with all of these photos. Now, the photos are printed at either 2 by 2 or 2.5 by 4.5 inches vertically. And so this gives me these two different sizes. I always find when I'm working with a project like this that having some uniformity to my photos instead of having to figure out how to fit a new size and shape of photo on every single page is way, way easier. I am starting by writing the dates on the backs of each of these photos because this is an over the years type of a project. And so I wanted to keep track of what years these photos were from so that I could order them in generally in chronological order. They're not going to all end up being in chronological order, but pretty close in that the older ones are going to be at the front of the album and then the more recent ones will be at the end of the album. Now I am going to end up matting all of these photos on one of two kinds of mats. Some of them will be matted on black and some of them will be matted on craft. Both of those cardstocks come in the main Sweet Summer kit. No, in the Sweet Summer cardstock add-on, of course. So both of those colors come in the cardstock add-on. So I'm going to use one or the other on each of these photos. And as you can see, there are some tags up there on the top. Those tags do come with this album. So this is a mini album add-on to the Sweet Summer kit. It's handmade by myself and it is designed to coordinate with the kit. It has some of the same papers from the kit and some coordinating different papers from the kit. As you can see, it is interactive. It has 3 different pockets, 6 different tags, so 2 pockets for each tag. And then it also has that tabbed fold-out page as well. So it's very interactive and fun, and it's sometimes nice to start with an album already made, which is why I decided to make this mini album as an add-on for the Sweet Summer kit. The tags, as you can see, they do not come with any reinforcers on them, so I'm just going to use my reinforcer punch. This punch is from We Are Memory Keepers, and it just punches a nice, simple reinforcer tag. I'm punching mine out of craft paper because I just like the look of that. It looks nice and natural. Now, if you don't have a reinforcer punch, there are also a variety of different companies out there that make reinforcer dies. But if you don't have a reinforcer punch or a reinforcer die, you can punch a reinforcer pretty easily out of 2 different circles. So if you have a circle and then another smaller circle to punch the center of, then you can make your own DIY reinforcers. You could also put the reinforcers that you can buy at the office supply store. They're white and those would look really cute on this as well, or they're usually white. Maybe you can get them in different colors. I'm not sure, but whatever you find will make a great reinforcer if you want to put one onto your tags. This is my We Are Memory Keepers hole punch, and it is 1/4 of an inch. And then if you were looking for another punch to make the bigger circle with, you would probably want the 1/2 inch circle punch, and that would fit quite nicely and make pretty much the identical little reinforcers to the ones that I'm using right here. So I'm just going to hold this up so that you can see what it looks like. There's a little freeze frame of the tag, and I haven't put it on the back side yet, but I am going to put all of those on the back sides as well. This mini album does come with 6 of these, so I'm just going to do 3 at a time here. I'm using my Zig glue pen to glue these on and flip them around, and then I'll just add the other side. So I'm just drawing a little circle with the glue pen around the outside edges of each of those little holes, and there we go. Now I have all 6 tags completed on both sides. Now this mini album, it is a 6x6 chipboard mini album, so the cover and back are made of chipboard that is covered, and then the inside pages are made out of mostly Cartabella paper, which is a nice thick paper. It's more of a cardstock really, and so it stands up to this kind of a mini album treatment. My very first step whenever I'm making a mini album is to have a look at my photos and make sure that I'm not going to run out of pages in my mini album. This one is a 6-page mini album with, again, those 6 tags, so 3 pocket pages to hold the tags, and plus a flip out page. So I'm just taking all of the photos that I have and making sure that they're spread fairly evenly across the album, and also trying to keep them mostly chronological. So it just takes me a few minutes to work that out. And then once I have that figured out, I'm going to also think about what I might want to do for my cover. I'm having a look at that stamp set, which is from our Take Me Home stamp set. It's from the Take Me Home kit from back in, I think it came out in November of 2023, but we do still have more of that stamp set. If you're interested in it, it is in our shop. But what I'm really loving about this stamp set is the Bake the World a Better Place stamp. And so I'm going to be using that and combining it with some letter stickers to make my cover. And I'm just familiarizing myself with what all comes in this kit, because this is actually my second project that I'm making with this kit, but I just want to kind of keep in mind, especially where there are so many baking and cooking related items in this kit, I really want to make sure that I'm maximizing my use of all of those items for this project, because besides this project, I might not do too many other baking and cooking themed projects. So I want to make sure that anything that I absolutely love and want to use this month, I want to use it on this page, or on this project, I mean. So I started by cutting a piece of this beautiful stripy paper from the main kit, and I'm going to also distress it. My thought at this point was that I would distress all the pages and distress every layer that went on it, but I ended up actually not doing that. So because the inside of this book isn't distressed, I didn't really need to distress this, but I wanted to, so I did. And I don't think it looks too badly to have the outside be super distressed like this and the inside not be. Now, what I'm going to do here is some selective stamping, because this stamp says Bake the World a Better Place, but I actually want to spell out bake with these letter stickers, and they're super sticky, which I learned when I did the Donairs and Draft layout. So what I'm doing to compensate for that, so that I can place them and move them around if I want to without risking tearing them or tearing the paper on the background, I'm just adding some powder to the sticky side of those letter stickers using that powder tool that's down in the bottom right-hand corner, which is an EK Success powder tool. It's just a little brush that holds powder inside of it. So now that I did all that, now that I know where I want the World a Better Place stamp to go, I need to take everything off so that I can stamp more easily. I am going to be embossing this, so I wanted to take every single thing off because embossing powder tends to get everywhere. So I wanted to just kind of emboss on a nice clean surface so I can brush any extra embossing powder off pretty easily. I'm also going to try to tidy up my room a little bit, my desk anyways, maybe not my whole room, but my desk. And because I have photos in between all these pages, I'm just going to be very careful about how I do this. I masked off the word bake and inked up just the rest of that stamp with Versamark ink, which is a sticky ink. And it took me a little bit to find it. I couldn't find where I stamped it, so I was pouring the powder in the wrong place. Now, this did a terrible job. I don't know what I did wrong here, but this embossing powder just literally got everywhere. So I'm going to take my time and use this very fine brush, and I'm just blowing. You can see I'm blowing with my mouth, and you can see that I'm blowing because the little coffee filter at the top keeps blowing away. And it's a really great way to touch up your embossing, is to just, all that you have to do is nudge the little particles and blow, and they'll blow right away. And what I did there was I had to just accentuate the little circle, like the holes inside of the D and the A and the C. I just wanted to get rid of some of the extra powder that was just sticking everywhere. And so I'm not sure if maybe I didn't use my powder tool in the right place, or I didn't use it enough, or I don't know what happened there, but that powder was a disaster. And you will see that this is not perfectly embossed. It has quite a bit of stray little bits, even though I took my time and really tried to address it. It's still fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. The whole front of this is very distressed looking anyways, and that's what it ends up looking like, is kind of like distressed. At the very end, you'll get to see it up close so that you can see what I'm talking about. But just to try to embrace those imperfections when you're making a project like this. It's a big project and it's not going to be perfect. I am using my designer Art Glitter Designer Dries Clear adhesive. It's very, very strong, so it'll work very well for these letters on the outside of the album that will get handled quite a bit. You can see that it's not perfect, but it is legible, and that's what really matters. The front of this is going to be fairly minimally decorated, so I've got my title, Bake the World a Better Place, and I'm going to take this adorable retro mixer, and I'm actually going to trim down the sticker a little bit just so that I can nudge it right up against the B and also nudge it towards the bottom of the page without it like that pattern paper piece, without it overhanging the pattern paper piece. I want it to be right down there and up against the B as well. Not up against it, but kind of nicely seated beside it. Now, I would like to fill that space between the World a Better Place and like underneath of the E. So I am playing around with a variety of different options for these puffy stickers. I'm going to end up choosing this blue heart, which works really nice. It's tone on tone with the background paper, so it doesn't add a whole lot. I didn't want to take away from the title. I really want the title to jump out at you and not have any embellishments really compete with that title. So I really like how that looks. So let's jump into this album now and start decorating. We have a couple of photos here from 2014, so I'm going to mat them on this black cardstock that comes with the kit. This is Simple Stories cardstock, and I love this cardstock. It's solid on one side and it has little tiny dots on the other side, just a tone-on-tone dot. And I'm using the solid side for this mini album. And so I'm going to put this is a photo of Scott with a bunch of cake pops, Christmas themed cake pops, and you can see Sophie there in the background. And I think they had made those cake pops together, Scott and the girls. So this other photo is a photo of Liv and Sophie's friend Regan all together in the kitchen, and they were making, it looks like there's frosting on it looks like they're making little mini cupcakes and they're frosting them. So this sticker comes from the element stickers that came in the main kit, and it says, "Baking fills my heart with lots of joy. Baking with you fills my heart with lots of joy." So I saw that little banner, that little border sticker on that sticker sheet, and then I realized that I actually have this pattern paper that I can use instead of using the sticker. I'll save the sticker for something else, and I'll cut 2 little bits of this stripy pattern and put it above and below, and then we'll call it a day for this one. I am going to stamp the year on lots of these pages, and so I need to think about what I'm going to do for that. So my page 2 is done and my page 1 is almost done, but I just want to pick out a font. I want a font that is pretty small and that includes numbers, and I don't have that many options. So what I'm going with here is the Hazel alphabet stamp set from Ellie's Studio. This is like a little classic typewriter font. It's uppercase only, And I really like this little, it comes in a couple of different sizes. I have the medium one, but I also have this one, which doesn't have a size name on it. It's just hazel alphabet stamp. And it's a 3x4-inch stamp size. So I stamped 2014 below that photo, and I'll also put 2014 on this one as well. Now I want this one to be pretty much centered in the middle of this page. And then I'd like to put some journaling lines underneath. So I have this journaling template. And if you're interested in these templates, just be patient with us because these are coming to the shop. So I'm just going to mask off two sides of it. This is my little trick for my own self because sometimes when I'm making these lines, I forget to stop. And sometimes I just keep going and I have a stray line that is longer than the rest. So I've been masking it off just to make myself remember to stop drawing the line. And on this particular stencil, there is a little gap between the two of them. It just helps the stencil stay together. And so I just hand draw that line, and it looks a little shaky at first, but once you put your words on the lines, you can't even tell that it's hand drawn in there. My journaling here just says, through the years, we've baked a lot of memories together. And I'm putting baked a lot of memories together in quotations because my sister-in-laws, my two sisters-in-law, they have a company called Baking Memories Together. So that's a bit of a play on that. So through the years, we've baked a lot of memories together. This album documents just a few of these tasty stories. And I am going to put 2014 on the side of this photo as well, just to make it clear that it's from the same year as the other one. And my stamping across this entire project is all using the same ink, which is VersaFine Black Onyx. It's my favorite black ink. It's just nice and bold, and it's a ink that is pretty good in terms of stamping a nice detailed outcome, like a detailed image is the word I'm looking for. Sorry. So now I would like to label some of these photos that are going to go on the third page here. And so I'm cutting some labels. Every main kit from MercyTiara Kits comes with a set of printable labels, and it's usually 2 pages long, and it includes labels of various sizes. So you saw me just cut a chunk out there that includes 4 different labels. I'll be using those throughout the project. So again, I'm using that same VersaFine Black Onyx ink. And one of the stamps from the Take Me Home stamp set that I talked about before, it's the same one I used on the cover. It says Mix It Up. And so I thought I would put that on there because Liv she's actually using a blender, like a blender to make a smoothie. So I'm putting Mix It Up because, you mix a blender, a smoothie as well. And then the other one is a photo of Sophie making chocolate dipped peanut butter balls. And I'm going to stamp out the word stir for that one because I feel like it kind of goes along with Mix It Up. First, I'm going to find another label here. So I'm taking the blue one. I used the green one on the bottom. And I did mat these photos on craft cardstock. And I'm going to kind of go back and forth between craft and black. And also, I think at least one of them is blue by the look of it as well. I was live streaming with my patrons for this, and they got to see this album come together in real time over the course of the whole afternoon and a little bit into the next day. So if you see some comments every here and there, that's what that's all about. This is a stamp set that I thought about using, but then I found that this one was a little bit smaller in the same size. I was looking for a font that would match, not exactly, because I knew that I wouldn't have one that it matches exactly, but I wanted one to go along with the Mix It Up font. So this one is called Midnight Letters, and it's from Mama Elephant. And it's not the same font at all, but I do really like it, and I think it works well. It's almost the same size. It's a little bit bigger. Now I'm conditioning some of these stamps. They had a bit of an oily feel to them, so I just wanted to condition them. I'm not sure why that was, but I really like the blackout on this font, how the insides of the little holes in the centers of the letters are filled in. I think that's really cool. Now I am going to stamp the S upside down. So just a little reminder to always check your S's and N's and anything that looks the same upside down to just make sure that you're stamping it properly. I don't mind it. It looks okay that way. And I don't know what I wrote on there. What did I write? I said the S has an up and a down side. So that was just a little reminder to myself to next time I use this stamp set to just remember that the S isn't symmetrical. Now that I have these all sorted out, I'm going to go ahead and glue them all down to the page. I'm putting my labels on foam dots, foam adhesive, and my photos are lying flat. So there we go, just a little alternating page there. It's a fun and pretty easy. All of these layouts are super easy. I didn't want to spend hours and hours, although I did spend hours. I didn't want to spend too long doing these pages. So I chose a fairly straightforward and simple layout. Now I'm making these 2 tags because I have a lot of photos that I want to put in this page and they're not all going to fit. So I grabbed, for the back sides of the tags, I just grabbed a couple of stickers. One says cake is my happy place and the other one has 2 children kind of looking into a pantry by the looks of it. And I took some, my Jelly Roll pens. And the ones I used here are Shadow Jelly Roll pens. These are gel pens that have a gold silver ink color with a color outline around it. So I did that in orange just to give a little bit of dimension and separation between the sticker and the background. And now I'm just trimming down my photos. I'm so sorry that it's out of frame, but what I'm doing here is I'm just trimming down the photos so that they will fit on these little tiny tags. Whoops, and my daughter brought me, oh, it was Scott. He brought me a burger, or no, he was showing off his burger and not sharing with the rest of the people on the live stream. They were pretty jealous. So, while Scott's eating his burger, I'm just going to keep on scrapping away because I am totally grooving with this mini album. Trimming down my photos so that they fit in the very bottom parts of my tags. And I'm trimming them so that they're just a smidgen smaller so that I can have a very, very small matting around the outside edges of this border, of this photo. So one of these is a photo of the girls making something, they're baking. And then another one is a photo of Liv making avocado, I don't know what she's making, maybe avocado toast or something. There's a baking bowl on the table in front of her, so I'm not sure what else she's doing there. Once I put the photos on the bottoms of the tags, I'm going to add some journaling lines above, just using my little stencil there. And I have to think about what I want to say about these photos because I don't really remember what the stories are, but I do remember kind of, I guess, that phase of life. So what I'm saying is at the ages of 10 and 12 years, Liv and Sophie were really into baking and cooking. And then I'll draw lines on this one as well. And on this one, I'm going to write, they would go cook or bake fairly independently by 2017. So much fun. And so much fun is the phrase that I often use just to fill up space when I have an extra line like this that's left there. Now I'm just going to take some of this red and white baker's twine, and baker's twine is a great twine to use for a baking themed album. And I love that it's red because this album has hits of red all throughout it. So I am cutting 3 different lengths. Actually, I think I cut all 6 different lengths so that I could only have to cut once. And now I've got the 6 pieces of baker's twine that I can add to each tag as I make it. So I'm going to thread that through, and then I will cut that part out of every subsequent tag part that I do so that you don't have to watch me do that multiple times. Now for this photo, this is a photo of Liv and Sophie making cookies. These look like Christmas cookies to me, and I love this just roll with it die cut, and these are rolled out cookies. So, and there's a rolling pin right there on the counter beside them. I'm going to mat these in this beautiful cardstock from Cartabella that comes in the cardstock add-on this month. And I'm going to mat it with that because that just looks so great with the outside of the roll with it die cut. And I'm just going to layer the two of these together so that it looks almost like maybe the photo is popping out from under the die cut. And I will mount the die cut onto pop dots so that it's layered on top of the photo. That looks so cute. I love it like that. So I'm just going to take all of the backing off of that foam adhesive, and then I will just position this so that it just barely covers that white border on the bottom of the photo. Now I do want to put the year on here, and instead of using stamps this time, I'm going to use these little tiny letter stickers that come in the embellishment add-on for the Sweet Summer Kit. So now this page is done, but I do want to add a little something to it. I'm taking those Jelly Roll pens again, and this time I'm using a glitter Jelly Roll pen. Now Jelly Roll makes at least two different kinds of glitter pens. The metallic glitter pens have a very subtle amount of glitter, and the Stardust ones, which is what I'm using right here, has a more glitter. It has a lot of glitter in it. And so I'm using the Stardust glitter pen here. And all that I'm doing is just coloring right over the red that's on this die cut. And as I kind of move it around in the light, you can see that it just adds quite a nice little touch of shimmer. This is completely optional. This die cut looks beautiful without this, but I think that just adding a little bit of glitter every here and there is a really nice way to personalize something. So now that that's done, I'm going to flip the page and let's work on the next page. So this one features two of these 2x2 squares, and then on the other page we have a 2.5 by 4.5 photo of Jen. Jen is my sister-in-law who bakes a lot of cakes for us. And so I couldn't have a baking album and not have Jen make an appearance. So I'm just matting that photo with black, and I'm going to mat the other photos with black as well. So let's just glue that down. I'm just using my ATG for this whole project. We'll glue that down, and then let's also glue these. Now, the nice thing about using the same sizes of photos, I've got two sizes here, as I mentioned at the beginning, is that you can really just cut a strip the first time that you make a mat. Cut a strip that is the width of a 2-inch mat, which is a little bit bigger than 2 inches. And then you can just keep on using the rest of the strip for subsequent photos. And that's what I did right there. All I had to do was cut the length of those. I'm adding some handwritten journaling here that says baking skills seem to run in the family. Just added that with my Sharpie pen. I'm also going to outline this one. It says family moments, and so I thought that that was an appropriate little die cut piece. It's from the set of die cuts. I'm going to pop that up with foam adhesive and just add it to the side of the photo here. And above it, I'm going to stamp the date, the year, which is 2018. But it looks like first I'm going to add some labels here to the other photos. I'm cutting another chunk of labels because I used most of the other ones. I had cut 3 before and there's only 1 left and I need 2. So this one is going to have 2 different shapes of labels, but that's okay. They all match and mix and match quite nicely with one another. So I'm just going to cut out the little edges of this one. And then I will also cut out the other one. which magically is cut very quickly thanks to the magic of video editing. And this is how this page is coming together. I really like how it looks. This back and forth kind of alternating approach to putting photos on a page on a mini album is it's good because it's easy and it's fast, but it also provides some unity between the pages. The fact that I'm reusing the same layout multiple times. Each page is different. It has different pattern papers on it. Some of them are different shapes and whatnot. So it's nice to have this repetition of an element, both the labels as well as the size and shape of the photos. It just gives some unity and cohesion to the project. Now here I'm back to using those hazel letter stamps. And I'm really just going to, I tried to use a consistent font, and I do technically have two different fonts on the go here, but it does add some unity to the project. So I'm spelling out Mac and Live, kind of like mac and cheese, but not. And on the other one, I'm going to handwrite out the word Brookies. So we're going to put that there, and I'm just layering it with that other longer die cut. It says life is short, lick the bowl. And here I'm just going to handwrite Brookies. I didn't think that any of the letter stamps that I have could possibly fit in that space, so I'm just handwriting it. And then in tiny little hand letters, I'm saying part brownie, part cookie, just to explain what Brookies are. And it just shows our stove top and counter with the cookies and the brownies all kind of laid out on the stove. So now flipping the page, the next page is this fold out page, and I actually made this one incorrectly. And so usually this page orients the other way so that it folds out over to the right instead of folding out over here to the left. But I took the one that it ended up not working out right so that everybody else could have the better one. Now I grabbed my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers here because I want to do some outlining around the outside edge of the large die cut that I have there. See how it says sweet? What I grabbed was my gray tint. It's number 901 if you do have these markers. And I just love this marker. It's a very warm gray. And as you can see, it's a subtle, subtle touch. But I just didn't want to do my regular sketchy doodly kind of outlining, but I did want to add a little something to the edges of this. And I could have done inking as well along the edges, but the problem is that there's all these little nooks and crannies in the shape of this die cut. So a marker is just a better way for me to get around all of those little nooks and crannies. Use whatever you have on hand. So I really like how adding that shading around the outside edge of that die cut just really does help that one to pop up off the page. And that's all that's going on that page. Now on this fold out page, I am placing a couple of different things. On the outside of the flip, I guess, I'm going to put this picture of Liv. And then I also have these two smaller photos. I'm going to mat them both in black, and I've run out of my strip, my matting strip here. So I had to cut another one. So all of these photos, at first I'm thinking they'll all be on the same page. So I wanted them to have the same matting, but now I'm putting this one on the outside of the flap. And for this tab, I just wanted to decorate up the tab a little bit. So I put this baking sticker tab on, and it has a really cute green pattern on the back side, and then the front is plain and says baking. And I just wanted to add a little something to it. In retrospect, when I look at it, I think that this might be adding a little bit too much busyness here. And a part of me kind of wishes that I just didn't even do this part here with the wood grain, but I'll leave it in. I mean, it's still in the album, so you'll see what I did here, and you can decide for yourself if this is too much. I think it's just too busy. Between the lines in the pattern paper and then the tab and then another extra little piece of wood grain here is just too much. But it looks okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But I wanted that little piece of wood grain there because I thought that it would be a good place to anchor a sticker or a die cut. And my problem is that I went ahead and did the wood grain piece before I really knew what I wanted to put here. And so now I have to find something that works with the scale and size of the wood grain. I ended up going with this oven mitt, and I think it looks really cute like that. So that's really cute. On the back side here, I'm just going to leave the tab as it is. I think it's really cute, and the rest of this page is all wood grain, and I think it just looks good. Less is more on this page, and I am not going to add very much to this page at all. It's just basically going to be these 2 photos and a couple of die cuts. Now for this die cut, I just wanted to make the title stand out a little bit. It says "Gotta Bake," and so I'm outlining the whole thing with my Sharpie pen. So as soon as that is done, I will glue that down to the page. I thought about popping it out, but because this is part of a fold out, I decided to just put it flat there. I'm centering it in the horizontally, I guess, on the page and vertically on the page. I'm just centering it. And then I'm repeating that alternating 2 square 2x2 photos. And again, I just really like how that looks. This time I'm leaving off the labels, but I've got the "Gotta Bake" in the middle. So I am mixing it up a little bit. Now I have another flip here, and I have to decide what I'm going to put on that. And I'm thinking there might be some cut apart pieces in here that have either a decoration or a spot for journaling. I think ideally it would be good to have a spot for journaling. I thought there was another baking themed cut apart sheet, but there wasn't. There's 2 cut aparts of the sunflowers and only 1 cut apart of the baking themed stuff. I'm going to take this pink frame and I'm going to put some lines in the center of it, and then that will hold my journaling. Now you've seen me draw those lines before with my stenciling template, so I didn't leave that part in. I also outlined the outside edge of that journaling piece. And I'm going to put 2020 at the top here, and that's just consistent. I'm just dating these with a year. I'm not putting specific dates on them. And under 2020, I'm going to write and say, by the time the pandemic hit, Liv and Soph were accomplished bakers and cooks. They were baking all the time. Now my ATG did run out of tape and I didn't want to refill it, so I'm using my Tombow tape runner here, which is just as good. I like them both. I just find that the ATG needs refilling less often, so I usually prefer that one. But both of them have pretty similar adhesive, very good quality, sticks for a long time, but also forgiving if you change your mind and want to pull things up. So here I'm just going to, oops, I told you I would cut this part out, but I guess I'm leaving it in, the strings through the tags. And I guess it's good that I left it in because when you're putting your strings through tags, you want to think about whether it's important to you or not for them to be consistent in terms of the direction. So some people really pay attention to that kind of a detail and other people don't really care. So it's up to you whether you want to be careful about that. But the strings do look slightly different if you put them through from front to back versus back to front. It's not a big deal, but where my tags are going to be right beside each other, I did want them to be the same. It's not that big of a deal, like I said. These tags that have the cutout stickers on them, like the shaped vintage stickers on them, and then I'm adding some little phrases to both of them. One of them says, "Let's stay home and bake," and the other one says, "Easy bake." Those are my favorite tags of the whole project. I just love them. They look so cute and retro, and I just love them. I'm taking that sticker, that border sticker from the sticker element sheet, and I'm just layering it along the bottom of my tags and trimming it to size. And then I will add some journaling which says, one of them says, since we could not go out, the girls found recipes on TikTok and tried lots of new things. It was delicious times. And then on the other one, it says, it was also strange times. We would wipe down our groceries when we got them home. Lysol wipes to the rescue. So we'll just slide those into that pocket. And at this point, I think I'm done for the day. And so I'm just kind of reviewing and thinking about what I did, thinking about what I still have to do tomorrow when I pick up this project again. And in the process of doing that, I had some ideas and ended up doing another 2 pages. So I knew that that photo would go vertically right there, but I was thinking about what I might want to do on the other page. What I ended up doing is having the other page be super minimal. I'm putting this little sticker. It's a vintage sticker of a lady putting a casserole in the oven or something. It's very, very retro and very cute. And at first, well, you'll see me go through a bunch of different options here. I'm playing around with what else I might want to do here. So I pulled out the sweet, and I love how monochromatic that looks. The sweet sticker from the Simple Stories sticker set that comes in the embellishment add-on. And I'm just going to have a look around for what else I might want to put on this page, looking at some die cuts, looking at some stickers. I'm going to end up grabbing this homemade. I'm going to just tuck it in behind the word sweet so that sweet is just very slightly overlapping it. And it just says homemade. This page that's it. I'm going to add a little plus puffy sticker right here. And that's it for this page. It's going to be, as I said, very minimalist. I love that amount of white showing. Thought about putting up something up in the opposite corner, but I decided not to. Now, if you had an album that you really wanted, if you had a lot of writing and storytelling to do, that would be a wonderful page for writing out some journaling, because there is a grid on that background paper. I'm not sure that it's showing up in the video, but it is a very faint grid, and it would make it super easy to do some journaling all in the background of that one. Meanwhile, I matted that other photo on black cardstock, and I do want to put something down here. This is Liv. She's actually just making Nutella and toast, which is not exactly baking or cooking, but it's something that they do in the kitchen. So I had the photo of it and wanted to capture that memory, because Nutella on toast is one of the girls' favorite treats. We don't have it all the time, but we have it often enough that it's something that they really look forward to. And they still look forward to it at the ages they're at right now. So I'm going to hand cut this. And then what you'll find is that this sticker is actually a little bit too long. I didn't want it to cover over that much of the photo, especially where I don't have a whole lot to put. Like I'm not really going to do a ton of journaling here or anything. So what I'm going to do is one of my favorite little tricks. Whenever I have a label or a sticker that is too big, I will cut it a straight line right down a part of it. And then I will layer it upon itself so that it overlaps, and that makes it smaller. And so, if you look super close, you can see that it's been cut and pieced back together again, but you really can't. You can't see that easily. I'm going to put a puffy heart just across the seam to make it even less obvious that it's cut. And I will go back and add a little piece of cardstock and that says Nutella. So this footage is from the second day of this project. The whole project took in total about 4 hours to complete, but I did spread that across 2 different days. And that does not include the making of the album itself. And if you'd like to purchase that album, it is for sale over in the MTK shop, which is linked in the information section below. Now, I did want to use more of these stamps, so I took the hand mixer stamp and stamped it on a label, and the cupcake stamp and also stamped it on a label. These circle labels are specifically sized in the cut-aparts to coordinate with popular punch sizes. So the smaller one is a 1 inch. It coordinates with a 1 inch punch. And then the bigger one coordinates with the 1.5 inch punch. My punch is a little bit less than 1.5 inches, but it still works really well. So I'm just in, I haven't added that little thing that says Nutella yet. I was going to handwrite Nutella right there, but then what I decided to do was I'm just going to handwrite Nutella on this little piece of blue paper, and then I'm going to cut it and put it in, just glue it onto that label just for a little bit more interest on that page. It doesn't have a whole lot of embellishing on it. So I really like how that looks. Now I'm going to leave that page plain. And this page, it looks a little bit like a tablecloth. And I would like to layer this photo of Sophie making items for my Christmas party. I'd like to layer it with one of these larger die cuts. And this conversion table is perfect because I can cover part of the conversion table and you know what it is. It doesn't look weird covered. And so at first I was thinking about doing it this way because I just liked the idea of alternating where the photos are, but eventually I'm going to decide to change it and put it the other way. First, I'm going to mat this photo. It's another one of those 2.5 by 4.5 inch photos, and I'm going to mat it on this craft cardstock. So one of the 3 colors of matting that I've been using. And so see, at first I was going to do it this way, but I think it looks better with the beginning of the word conversion table, so that you can kind of see it. Instead of just saying table, you're seeing conversion. Now, I did cover up the little spoons that I really, really love, the little measuring spoons, but I had a sticker of it. So I decided to just add that sticker to the conversion table instead. So for this last page here, I'm just having a look at how my pages are going. And for this last page, it's a page that includes a pocket. And before I do that, I'm just going to stamp the year on the side of this photo. It occurred to me that I'm not sure that I've been putting the years in all of the places that I needed to put the years. So let's just put 2023 right here, so that we don't forget to do that. And then we'll move on and do the next page. Now the next page does include a pocket with 2 more tags, the last 2 tags. And so I'm thinking with this photo of Scott and Jen holding the cupcake with a bunch of candles on it, I'm thinking I'll put that on one of the tags. And then this last page, or it's not the last page, but it's the last flippable page, it's one of the last pages, will have this die cut piece. It's like a cut apart. Now I'm going to use that same marker again, that is called Gray Tint from the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, just to add a little bit of dimension around the outside edges of the circle here. But I'm not going to cut it apart. I'm just going to leave it in the square and just adhere it to the paper and to the page. And first, let's refill that ATG. And once that's refilled, I just added the adhesive to the back of that. And I will add one of these stamps here. There was another stamp that I definitely wanted to use, which is All Fillings Are Valid. It's a stamp of a pie, and I just love it. It was I was very proud of that pun when I designed that stamp set. So this Take Me Home stamp set was designed by myself, and the artwork was actually done by Jen, who is in this photo. She is an artist, and she has done the artwork for all 3 of both of our stamp sets. One of our stamp sets doesn't have any artwork on it. I don't think it does. If it does, she did it. I think the Nope stamp set is all words and no images. Anyhow, we have this adorable little stamp on the label here that has a cupcake on it. And I just have to think about what color do I want to make the cupcake frosting. I decided to go with a blue, and it was way too bright. It was not the blue that I thought it was. I actually picked the wrong number by mistake. And so because it's so bright, I just went over it with that same gray tint marker that I've been using all along, and that toned it down quite a bit and made it nice and neutral and a little bit vintagey, and it matches almost perfectly the blue that's on that pie, just as nice as pie cut apart piece there. So that was a nice happy accident. Now I need to pick a beige to color in my cupcake wrapper, and that's what that is. And then I have to think about what color I might want to make the hand mixer. Now I'm using liquid glue on this, and I just spread it around with my finger. I wanted it to go from edge to edge. Well, from all of the edges. It's a circle, so it doesn't have separate edges. But because it's going to be sliding in and out of a pocket, I don't want it to have any edges that don't have glue on it, so that I don't want it to hang up on any part of the pocket. So on this one, I am going to do some stamping, and I want to say birthday cupcake. And at first I was going to do some lines, but then I'm going to change my mind and do some stamping instead. I'm going to use soft succulent, not this. This is a different color, but I'm going to end up using soft succulent because it's almost the same blue that's already on. It's the same blue as what's on that cut apart that says just as nice as pie. And it's also very, very similar to the color that the cupcake ended up being after I added the gray marker to it. I'm using the hazel stamp from Ellie's Studio to stamp out birthday cupcake with a bunch of exclamation points at the end. And then, of course, I added the twine. I'll add the twine to the second one as well, which I haven't done that one yet. But now I just need a sticker or something to put on the back of this. And I decided to take this one that has a bunch of macarons on it. And it says, "The best things in life are sweets." So that's fine right there. And now with this other stamp, with this other tag, I should say, I'm going to stamp the "All fillings are valid" stamp at the very bottom of it. Oh, I love that stamp so much. That little pie looks so delicious, and it looks like a perfect little apple pie. I decided not to color it in. I just think it looks really cute right there in black and white. I'm going to add some lines here so that I can do some journaling. My journaling says, "Although not pictured here, Scott is our pie maker. From apple to pumpkin to lemon meringue, he's the upper crust of pie makers." So now I'm going to flip that around, and I don't know what to do on the back of this. So I'm just going to stick three pie stickers. So I've got 2 full pies and then a slice of pie, and the slice of pie is apple, and Scott is well known for his apple pie. It's his own recipe, and it's very, very cinnamony and delicious. So I will just stick those into the last pocket page. And now I just need to color this hand mixer. I'm going to pull out my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers again, and this time I'm going to pick a pink. And I'll just color that right in and put my markers away. And finally, I will add some foam adhesive to this so that it pops up on the page. And the last little detail that I will add after I pop that sticker right there is I'm going to take those measuring spoons that I love so much. There was a tinier little version of it, and I'm going to pop those right on the edge of that hand mixer. Now, turning the page, we're finally going to be finishing off this one. We have 2 more pages to go, and on these last 2 pages, we have 2 photos of Sophie, well, one each on each photo of Sophie, and I have some ideas for the stamp set again. So this photo of Sophie with the cake is going to be the very last photo. And then the photo of her making beignets is going to be the second last one. So the beignets one is going to be matted in the craft. And because of the amount of cardstock that I had left over of the sizes, it ended up that one was black and one was craft. I didn't want to cut anymore. It's the end of the project, and I just thought it's okay if they're not both the exact same color. Now, what I'm going to put along the edge of this one of Sophie with the cake is a quote from our Take Me Home stamp set, which says, "A party without cake is just a meeting." And that's a Julia Child quote, and that is on the stamp as well. So we've got that. And then I would love to get this mixer, this electric mixer, onto this project because it is probably my very favorite part of my very favorite stamp on the whole set. And so I want to use that. It's also a bit of a throwback to the mixer that's on the very front page. And so I like the idea of this album starts with a mixer and ends with a mixer as well. So I would like to punch this, and I'm just checking out my stamps, or not my stamps, but my punches. So I keep a little template here that has examples of punches of all of the punches that I own so that I can go grab, so that I can find out which one I need and then go get it. Now, what I didn't realize here is that this punch is a little bit different. It punches a bigger hole than what I actually wanted. So instead, I'm going to use circles and a scallop circle as well. So I had to go and put that back, and now I found this one. So the nice thing about that template is it tells me what size the stamp is, or the punch is, so that I can go get it. All of my punches are labeled on the tops with the sizes on it. And so there we have the mixer on a circle, but I'd like to layer that circle with a scallop circle in a coordinating color. So I just found the punch that I have that coordinates well with that. It's a Stampin' Up! One, and I'm just going to punch this shape out of this blue cardstock that I used on a mat earlier on in this project. So we will mat this circle on the scallop circle. It makes it look like a cute little flower. I am going to distress the edges with just a little bit of ink here using my finger dauber. And then I will just place that down like that. And it looks super cute. I'm gonna put it up here on this edge because there's more room for it on the photo without me covering stuff. It also very conveniently covers some of the clutter on my counter, although I really don't mind clutter showing in my projects. It's real life, so I don't mind that at all. I'm going to color in this mixer. I didn't want it to be super bold or colorful, so I'm just using that same gray tint marker, and I'm just very gently coloring around the edges. If you go over it twice, it'll get darker, and then I'm just spreading it out. I'm basically went over it twice in a few places just to make it have a bit more of an even coat. And that is the last page done. And now I have to do the second last page. But whoops, let's first make sure that we put the year on this. So the year for this one is 2021, and I'm using that same hazel stamp set. So yes, we're going back in time a little bit, but that's all right. These got out of order, and it's okay. I'm not stressing about it. We'll just leave it. That's the benefit of putting the years on it, is that, if you get them out of order, you still know which thing happened in which year. I had picked out this Don't Be Afraid to Take Whisks. I had picked this out as the thing I wanted to put on the very back page a long time ago, a little while ago. So I wanted to put that on the back page, but I also really love this hand mixer, this mixer pattern paper. And again, it's that idea of this album started with the mixers, and now it's with a mixer, and now it's ending with the mixers as well. So I'm going to mimic what the front cover is. So the front cover had a piece of pattern paper from this same collection. It was the stripes though, and it was distressed around the outside edges. So I'm just distressing that. And I'm just going to cover pretty much all of the back of this page. This chipboard mini album, it had a finished back on it. It was like a finished white back, so it didn't really need to be fully covered with patterned paper. So when I made these albums, I didn't cover the back of it, just so that you could have the option to cover it if you wanted to, or to decorate it like I am. So I think it would look fine just plain as well. If you ran out of steam and didn't know what to do, you could just leave it. You don't even have to put something on it. I thought about using that chipboard chip from Tim Holtz that has a quote on it, but I decided not to. I definitely want to use that pink sticker, that pink bowl sticker, but first I'm going to adhere the photo in place. I'm going to put that bowl right there, and then I want to spell out beignets, but I don't want to use any of the fonts that I've already used on this project. Even though I do like the idea of repeating fonts throughout a project, I think that the word beignets is long, and I wanted to use a skinnier letter font so that it would fit better in the space that I had. And also because this photo is a tall, thin photo, I think that a tall, thin letter sticker, not letter sticker, letter stamp is going to work better. So I'm using this, which is from Paper Person. This font is called Southport, and I really love it. I'm going to be stamping in the same soft, succulent ink that I used on the other page. And I thought about using the darker one again, but it's too dark. It's not going to look the way that I want it to look. So I'm just going to spell out the word beignets and clean each stamp in between. So that's going to be a little bit finicky, so I'll just skip ahead. Now that I have that done, I need to stamp the year, and I'm going to stamp the year right beside it. I'm stamping the year in gray, actually. I thought that using black, although I've used black in all of the other places where I put the year, I thought that it would be too harsh next to the word beignets, so I stamped it in gray. And now it looks like this is completely done. My only final touches is to just make sure that there's a year in any of the places where it needs to have a year. I'm stamping this year stamp here in black, even though it's on a fairly dark part. By the time you see the year, it's on the counter. It's not on the black part of Scott's legs. And so you actually can see the year, although I don't remember what it was because I'm not looking at it at this moment. I'll add another year stamp right here. And I think that might be it. Let me just look through and make absolutely sure that I haven't forgotten any years. Yep, we've forgotten this one. So we'll put the year right here. This is also 2020. And then those inside of the flap are also 2020, but the journaling tells you that. So I am going to flip through it on video right now, and then there are some really detailed close-up photos at the very end. But before I share those photos, in a second you're going to see a screen of a whole bunch of people. These are my tiaras. Just a quick shout out to those folks who are Patreon supporters. They help make this channel happen, so big thanks to all of them. Tiaras get early ad-free access to all of my process videos, as well as real-time unedited versions of my videos, often in the form of live streams, and behind-the-scenes videos of my room and my process. Thanks to you also for watching all the way to the end. This was a longer one. It was certainly a long process. 4 hours in the making, but look at how cute this album turned out. If you would like to make one of these mini albums and not have to deal with the structure of making all the pages and binding it and gluing pattern paper onto the chipboard and all of that, you can find this mini album in our MTK shop, which is linked in the information section below. These pages were so much fun to make, and look at how cute they look all together in this album. This album is going to be a wonderful way to cherish those memories of our kids and our whole family, actually, and how we have baked and cooked all over the years and had a lot of fun doing it. Everything from as simple as Nutella and toast to macarons and beignets. We've done it all. I should say they've done it all, because I bake very, very little in my family. But I certainly love documenting the baking. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing so that you can see more. And I will see you next time. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.